Alrighty, hang on a second while I'm waiting for others to join, and while I am preparing everything. I'm just preparing everything, and while I take my earrings off, as a matter of fact, business as usual. All right, and hang on a second. Let me just make sure I am recording this for the podcast as well. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. All right, let me see. Interesting. So while I fix my audio issues, tell me where you're joining in from, and what are you here to learn? Obviously, you're here to learn the 10 rules of being claimed. So, okay, here we go. Should be good now. All right. So, let's do this, ladies. Maybe some gentlemen, but I hope mostly ladies. All right, hold on. All right, everyone. So thanks so much for joining me today. For those of you who don't know me, I am Anna Rova. By the way, I'm also recording this as a podcast and an Instagram live. Hi, everyone. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Anna Rova, and I am a femininity. It's even hard to say that word. And a relationships coach. And I run a very powerful group coaching program for women where I help successful single women attract a committed masculine men. So today we are talking about, this is part of the series of 10 rules of being claimed, and today is rule number 7. We have 5 more episodes to go: 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus a bonus one. I hope I'm gonna make it, because I mean this is a pretty big commitment for me to be showing up live every day and then uploading, sharing, and podcast episodes. So it's a pretty big project. So thanks so much for participating and for listening. So let's talk about today's rule. Today's rule, by the way, those of you who haven't listened to all the other 6 rules, I highly recommend that you do. They're going to be available on the podcast in July, so second half of July, and also on my IGTV. If you want to see me live and go back and listen, that would be awesome, because every single episode has action steps in it and things that you should consider in terms of your relationships with men. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Post them in the chat box, or message me on Instagram. Okay, so let's get going. Rule number 7: don't let your men become your life project. Oh my God, my favorite rule. So many women, and those of you listening live and those of you who are listening after, you can message me about this. But who knows who has been a woman, or who knows a woman who basically, once things get rolling and once things get going with a man, so like you're in a relationship or you get married, your man becomes your life project, and you're like, oh my God, this is it. I got him. Now this is my project. So comment below if you know a woman like that, or if you have been a woman like this in the past, or if you are a woman like this currently. So this is very common, and I don't know if it's natural or not. I guess it might be natural to us. I mean, so many women do it. I've done it in the past. It's like, it's so easy to basically focus on him once everything is going right. And in general, in dating as well, a lot of women focus on men, on that specific guy at the moment. And that's why we talked in the other rules, right? The rule of thirds: continue dating, continue funnel, and things like that. But let's say you have been following my rules of being claimed, and let's say you get into a relationship. So remember, we talk about the dating funnel and how to constantly continue doing your dating funnel. The dating funnel looks like a reversed pyramid, where there's 3 stages of the dating funnel. The top one is exposing yourself to a lot of men constantly. The second stage is dating different men, and remember the rule of thirds: you always see 3 different guys at a time. Doesn't mean you're sleeping with them, but you're constantly seeing other men. And then the last step, and that's what we kind of like, this 7 rule relates to that last step, where you have been claimed, let's say. And in the previous rules, I think yesterday I talked about, don't stop your funnel until you explicitly get claimed by a man. And let's say you have been claimed and now you're in a relationship, or perhaps you're in a marriage. Doesn't matter. Let's say you have a solid, committed, long-term relationship. What do a lot of women do? Right? They really make their men their life project. So they stop focusing on themselves. They stop doing self-care. They stop doing other things. And I understand, it's like, right, when you got claimed, I think that's what happens. When you got claimed, you don't need to do your dating funnel anymore. You don't need to go on all these different dates exposing yourself. So what do you do with this time? You fill your time with this man, and what is he eating? Where is he going? What are we doing together? Is he taking me to other places? Where is this relationship going? And so on and so forth, right? So you fill your time, I guess the time that you were exposing yourself with this particular man, and everything becomes about him, right? And then because we do that, we also expect that we will get the same from our men, but that doesn't happen. So for men, there's a huge saying, and an old saying that goes, I don't know who said that, but it's very true. It says, women always expect men to change, while men always expect women to stay the same. And so the trick here, and that's what this rule is about, it's like we need to stay the same in terms of, like, imagine that's what happens in a lot of relationships dynamics. In the beginning, everything is going great, and then it's going somewhere, I don't know where relationship stalls, where sex is not that often, where attraction is not there anymore, and so on and so forth. And so, a lot of these issues, in my opinion, in my work with women, because I work with polarity a lot of these issues come from not being able to maintain and sustain that polarity, and that relates to, letting your man become your project. Because a lot of the times we also settle and we become confident and comfortable with this particular man. A lot of women, stop looking after themselves that much because they don't have to expose themselves to other men, right? Or they start being at home more and things like that, which is quite natural, right? Like, because you're settling down, obviously you don't want to expose yourself to other men because you're taken. But there is a I don't want to call it a danger, but something that I'm very mindful of, even if I'm married 3 years into that, right? What I'm mindful of is sustaining that polarity. So in one of the rules we talked about, choosing the role that you want to have with your partner, and then focusing on that role, and then filling up your tank with all the other things, right? So a lot of the times, because we got claimed, it doesn't mean that the work stops. The work of focusing on yourself and going through all of the rules that really are very much helpful as we go through relationships. So when I work with women, actually, my goal is not to get you engaged or get you married or even get you into a relationship, simply because when we have that as a goal, then that becomes like a means goal to an end. Because the end, like, what is the end? Like, why do you want to be in a relationship with a man? Why do you want to get engaged? Why do you want to get married? These are really important things to consider, and I feel like these very important things, the end goal gets overlooked with a checkbox, I'm in the relationship, I'm not single, or a checkbox, he proposed, or a checkbox, we actually got married. Like, what's the point of these checkboxes or milestones if you're not happy, or if it's not the right match, or if you can't sustain polarity? And as you know, relationships are hard. Like, there is work that needs to be done. So that's why I'm so passionate about, when I work with women together, we really focus on sustainable tools and practices and a way of doing life as a feminine essence woman, specifically with your men, and creating that polarity so that it is sustainable. And so when you start dating men, you continue when you get into a relationship, right? So it's very important to understand that it doesn't end. The work doesn't end once you get claimed. The work doesn't end once you get married. The work constantly continues. And, well, I haven't been married for 10 or 20 years, but in my marriage, I still I think we still maintain a very healthy dose of polarity. You know, my husband was telling me a story how he was talking to a friend, and he was, you know, a friend was sharing that, you know, even like intimacy or sex after a few years of marriage, it just dies down. This is very common, you know, and I feel this in my relationship as well, when, you know, kids and oh my God, so many things just overtake you. And then you're like, well, the last thing I want right now, because I'm so exhausted from everything, is like to get into bed and have sex, for example, or even become intimate. So I've actually tackled that on my own. I mean, we've tackled that in our marriage, and honestly, the intimacy that I have now with my husband is even better before we had a baby. Ding ding. Very important. And I can share with you what we've done. I mean, it's nothing crazy or whatever, but you know, so I really focus. The most important thing is like I really focus on myself as a woman and what I need, and feeling my needs, you know, to the fullest, without making him accountable for it, responsible for it, or making him the source of my happiness. In the previous rules, we talked about he's not my other half. I don't expect him to be my girlfriend. I don't expect him to feel all of my needs, and I don't expect him to just like be my emotional tampon, you know. I find ways to do this on my own, and I feel like that relieves so much pressure from him, and I really recommend that you start doing this as well. So, you know, my man calls me sexy and is proud to walk with me on the street, at the pool, and you know, and I feel the same about him. A lot of women tell me that I want to be with a man that I walk on the street with him, and I'm proud to call him my man, you know. And that is a masculine, committed man. And so how do you actually attract that? We talked about that. Well, we talked about being in your feminine flow and everything. And in the program that I work with women, I also help them do that. And by the way, again, if you're interested in diving more into my philosophy about polarity, about beliefs, and what you need to do, what are some certain shifts that you need to do in order to start attracting committed masculine men, I have a webinar called exactly that, how to start attracting committed masculine men. So if you go to girlskill.com/webinar, you can sign up for it. And very powerful webinar. A lot of women actually tell me, oh my God, like I just talked to a woman today. She was like, it feels like you bugged my house because you know exactly where I'm at. And this is so common. And that's because, you know, I've interviewed on my podcast so many women. I've done more than 200 discovery calls, and I've worked with women one-on-one and now in a group setting. Like I know you really well. I've been there myself, but I've also heard so many things and so many stories from women. So let's talk about like, how do you do that? How do you actually sustain that? And how do you not let your men become your own project? So, you know, first of all, like, keep doing the work. Don't forget the work in terms of staying in your femininity, being focused on yourself. A lot of the rules that I've shared are really going to help you. Like, you know, rule number 2, you get the best piece. So this is very, very important. You putting yourself first, you setting up boundaries, you communicating your boundaries, you being in your feminine, you know, being in that energy of surrender, trust, letting go, stop trying to control. Like, if you've done the final right and you have a committed masculine man by your side, the work continues. It's not like now everything shifts and you're like all set. The minute you let things go, things are going to let themselves go. And so, you know, staying in your feminine and understanding that we work differently. Our, like, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? So a man can only fulfill 10% of your tank. So continue having an amazing life. You know, like interests, pursuits, everything we talked about in the beginning, right? Because you are like, think about it. The men fall in love with the versions of us that are playful and feminine and girly and having an amazing life and all of this stuff. And now when we're in relationships, a lot of women just kind of settle or forget about that. But he fell in love with that part of us. So, and obviously, like, you know, this has to become a way of life. You're not doing this for men, you're doing this for yourself. And that's how, if you do this for yourself and you have this mentality and this mindset and you live an embodied way of living, which embodiment essentially is my modality that I work with women with. So like dropping from your head, being in your body, having a tool to process your emotions day to day, so you're not running around like this frantic woman who doesn't know anything, who doesn't know what to focus on and everything. So that's really important. Having a morning routine and perhaps an evening routine, having hobbies, being connected to your femininity and your creativity, looking good, taking care of your now go into like life in general, but I think as a woman specifically, focusing on your wellness, focusing on your nutrition, focusing on your style and beauty, which is really important, right? Being passionate about life, about projects, about your work, and developing that trust in the world, and that no matter what happens, everything will be okay. So these are the things, obviously, like personal growth in general and life coaching and things like that. But these are all so important if you are not to let your man become your life project. Because once we focus on him, there's a lot of pressure and we unfocus from us. So what we need to do when, if we don't want our man to become our life project, is focus on us. You get the best piece. This is a recipe for everything you want. Because if you put yourself first, then your man will put yourself first, your kids will put you first, and so on and so forth. And with kids, actually, you're modeling a really good attitude for them, right? For girls to put yourself first, and for boys how to treat women in their lives. So this is extremely, extremely, extremely important. And I also talk about this idea of, losing yourself in a relationship. It's very easy for women to lose themselves in relationships where, again, I think what happens is because things are settled, it's easy to just let it flow, whatever. I don't care. I'm tired. I don't want to go exercise. I don't want to go swim. I don't care. I'm not putting makeup, like whatever. It's not about the looks, but it kind of is about the looks. So sometimes I think about, when I'm spending time with my husband at home, obviously I'm just kind of looking whatever, but I increasingly more and more, I realize, well, hold on a second, I'm spending with him a lot of time at home, and then I make myself pretty when I go out, where in fact I should be looking great when I'm at home as well, like things like perfume and things like that. So that's what's sustainable. And when you focus on you, it's going to continue. And you're also not going to be so bogged down by, what he does and everything. And trust me, he will also follow. If your man doesn't do anything in terms of, looking up to himself or whatever, there's nothing you can change him. And there's nothing you can tell him that he needs to do something, because that's the worst thing you can do. The more you tell men what to do, the less they do. So again, the focus should be on you, developing your femininity, leaning back, taking care of your own life, developing passions and interests, and having an interesting life that you really enjoy, and becoming your own best friend in that sense. So if you look at my nails now, I have no idea why I did this, but for those of you who can't see it, there is like metallic green and gold and whatever. Like whatever, I went and had a bath, I went and had a massage. I really prioritize myself in that way. And my man knows this and knows that this is important. So I'll share with you something that we do with my husband in terms of, getting intimate and staying intimate, because a lot of couples out there, once things become pretty stable, sex is not happening very often, and especially for men, this is so important to be sexually active. For all of us, it's important. And oh my God, in the program that I work with women with, a lot of women think that sex is kind of like, yeah, whatever, but oh my God, a woman who is sexually open and in her body and explores that area of her life deeply, that woman is unstoppable. That woman, I had quite a few realizations last year where, for me, it was really when I'm in my body, and because if you really think about sex, and orgasm and everything, this is, for most women, this is one of the few times where she can actually literally let go, and surrender. So that state of surrender and let go is really important to actually cultivate day to day, and not wait until a sexual interaction happens. Who knows when it's going to happen? If it's not scheduled, then So for us, and I actually learned this concept at a parenting, very important, when Zoe was born, a year and a half ago. I went to this parenting course with an amazing woman here where I live, and she actually taught us the concept of, for her it was Friday Fun Day, and she has like 4 children, 4 boys. She's in her 50s now. I think 50s or 40s, can't remember. And she shared with me this concept of a Friday Fun Day, where she and her husband, they know that Friday is a fun day, which means like they're getting into bed and they're becoming intimate. And so we introduced this in our life, in our marriage, and for us it's a Sunday Fun Day. And a lot of the times, when you have a small baby and everything, things are not working out. Like, oh my God, we're lucky to have parents-in-law here, but they take her on Saturdays and we're working on Saturdays, so it's like a bit crazy. But in the beginning, it was Sunday Fun Day. Baby sleeps for 1 hour, and this is the hour that we just focus on intimacy. And yeah, it is kind of scheduled, but it's totally changing the game. And another thing and now it's like happening probably like in the evenings, but we almost don't miss any week, and another thing for me that has majorly during the last 2 years I've gone through a major transformation where I really focus on looking good, on my style, not for him, for me. I think like, my man is the type of a man who wouldn't actually voice anything. I go to yoga a lot. I swim in the pool. I love being in the sauna and a jacuzzi or a spa. I take care of all these, like I recently did a makeup beauty course. I worked with a stylist. I constantly go to hairdressers and look at different things that really excite me. I'm interested in fashion design. Now I want to enroll in like an acting course. So I constantly work with what I love. I go shopping for accessories and things like that. So I try to always get involved in discovering myself and exploring myself and really following my passions. So one of the other things that happened, and I buy new lingerie, and I get all excited about dancing, and like he had a birthday the other night, and I bought a full-on attire of, oh my God, I've never seen you like this before, and having that flirt, that dynamic going. And there's so many ways you can get into this, right? Like I look after my body, I love my body, and I work with my face and nutrition and a naturopath, so all of these things, right? And so one of the other things that shifted for me is, you might be thinking, oh my God, scheduled sex, we need to get in bed and have sex. Like, of course, for me, it doesn't happen all the time. For us, sometimes we're just like not happening. And then, so for me, I released the need to actually engage in sex necessarily, like the actual act, and also the need for orgasms. And that has released the pressure for me. So for me, and I think, well, for him, not so much, because he's still like, he's a masculine man, there has to be a goal, right? But for me, I'm just there to be intimate with my man, to do some eye gazing and some kissing and just being with each other. I think that's what essentially, and there's another thing I share in my program, that women get sex through intimacy and men get intimacy through sex. So it's really important to understand the difference there and why we want to engage intimately with each other. And so for me, the moment I released it did amazing things, because I have no expectations whatsoever, or how this is going to turn out, or who's going to orgasm or climax or not. And that's it. And I just feel free in my body, and we just have fun. That's it. Eventually, I think most of the times it leads to something else, but essentially that's not the goal. So these are some things I wanted to mention to you. If you have any questions or other ideas, let me know. And so an action step here, if you have lost yourself in a relationship right now, you currently in a relationship and you feel like things, your man has become your life project, you're constantly thinking about what. The other thing, when I work with women, it's like when you stay in your feminine and when you're busy, like imagine I have so many things going on. I don't have the time to think about what is he going to wear, where's he gonna go? Like, you know, I think about what is he gonna have for lunch every night, right? Because that's me. I still do the laundry and everything. I mean, he takes it out of the laundry and everything, but I, you know, like he goes on the boys' retreats and things like that. I don't have time to parent him, to manage him around and all of that, because like I'm focusing on myself. So that also, when you focus on yourself, it again release the pressure, and also that the attention, because I think naturally, because women are so like nurturers on their own, and in fact, you know, when I work with women, I also they report back, oh my god, the more I started focusing on me, the relationship changed, and I realized that, oh my god, he can do his own laundry, he can make his own decisions, you know, he can also cook for us. Like, it's crazy what we think that our men are not capable of, and how we are ourselves treating them as children, pretty much. And so when you focus on yourself and when you have an amazing life, you don't have time for that. And you just trust that he will be okay and he will survive, and he will. You'd be surprised. So yeah, if you are in a dynamic now where you have lost yourself perhaps, or your man really has become your life project, you know, what are some of the things that you can do to stay on course or get back to yourself, which is the most important thing. You know, no matter what relationship you're in, no matter where this is going, it's always about you. Even when you're a mother, you know, I also had to shift. You remember, you get the best piece. I know that if I'm okay, Zoe will be okay. And honestly, she's a bit too young to kind of make conclusions, but I see in her, like, she's a happy baby. When I'm happy, she's good. And, you know, in rule number 10 of 10 rules of being claimed, you'll also hear me talk, like, this is kind of the conclusion rule, happy wife, happy life. That's exactly what we're going to talk about. Because if you're happy as a woman, then everybody else around you is happy. Because you know that if you're not happy, everybody else will see that, everybody else will notice that, and the mood in the room will not be good. You have that power as a woman. So this was it for today. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions, and maybe while questions are coming, next time, which is tomorrow, by the way, if my baby, and for the podcast obviously it's going to be released whenever, but tomorrow, if my baby is still sleeping, if she's sleeping, because I'm tomorrow with her at home, the next episode is rule number 8, which is practice the 80-20 of advice giving, which is going to be quite interesting. It's a revelation for a lot of women out there, but I hope you're going to tune in. So I'll see you there. All right, I just stopped the recording. So tomorrow, 8 p.m. PST, as I said, I hope my baby's going to let me do this because she's going to be sleeping. And if not, I'll just come in and check in, and then we'll do it the next day. All right, ladies, thanks so much for joining me. It's been great. As I said, I'm loving doing this. There's a lot of activity going on, but it takes a lot of time and energy, but I'm still committed and dedicated. I'm just thinking, like, how do I put all of these 10 rules into some sort of a blog post, you know, or some sort of an ebook. But oh my god, another thing on my list. You're welcome, Veneta. Thank you. Okay. All right, ladies, I see that there's no other questions. Let me know if you have any comments or anything. You can always comment here after that. All right. Love you all. Bye bye.